2-hour ride?
I think we will.
Right.
I think we will. Suddenly I am speechless, if you can imagine. Thanks for being here, everybody, and we will see you back here tomorrow, right? No stops before then. We'll be back here tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Fox News alert and brand new information on the Benghazi investigation, raising some serious questions about the White House response to that terror attack that claimed the lives of 4 brave Americans. Good morning to you. I'm John Scott.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jenna Lee. Great to see you today. Fox News is learning about a 7-page White House email circulated at the highest levels of the administration, apparently to craft a media strategy in response to a Fox News report alleging U.S. officials knew the attack on our consulate was terrorism within the first 24 hours. This email is currently being withheld by the State Department, citing executive privilege. All this as Republican Congressman Trey Gowdy of South Carolina is laying out how he will lead a House Select Committee tasked with getting to the bottom of what the White House knew and when, among other things. Our chief intelligence correspondent, Catherine Harris, is live in Washington with the very latest for us now. Catherine?
Well, thank you, Jenna, and good morning. The new chairman of the House Select Committee on Benghazi says the State Department investigation, known as the Accountability Review Board, or ARB, was deficient and not the final word on the terrorist attack. Because he says the co-chairs, former Ambassador Thomas Pickering and retired Admiral Mike Mullen, did not interview the principal witness, then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. And the new chairman telling Fox News this morning it was a mistake the House investigation will not repeat.
How can you run an investigation without talking to the person in charge? So the manner in which we talked to her, I can't tell you this morning. I can tell you this. Anyone who has evidence or information is going to be talked to.
Fox News is learning new information about that 7-page email that is being withheld by the State Department, citing executive branch deliberations. It's a Fox News story from September 27, 2012, that concluded the intelligence community knew Benghazi was terrorism within 24 hours. On that email chain, based on publicly available documents, is the then Deputy National Security Advisor Dennis McDonough, not Tom Donilon you see right there, then at the time the White House Counterterrorism Advisor John Brennan, who's now the CIA Director, and Ben Rhodes, Principal Aide to the President and head of his strategic communications.
And so this report from Fox News would run counter to what the Obama administration was attempting to put out there as their position. And there was a contrarian news report that didn't align with their position, and they were clearly reacting to it in a way that would help to reinforce their position.
We do not know what's in that 7-page email exchange, other than it did go to very senior levels of this administration. What's worth noting about the documents that were released as a result of that court order is that some of the redactions do not have those notations that you often see on the side of these FOIA documents, and that is important because the State Department is legally required to explain what the exemption is for blacking out that information, and in a number of these emails, that exemption is not stated. Jenna.
Interesting. Catherine, thank you.
You're welcome.
With more on this, joining us now, South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator, you have been calling for a special committee to look into these emails and, well, the whole Benghazi experience for a long time now. It appears to be underway. Give us your reaction.
I'm very pleased. I think the past process, while very sincere, has been disjointed. You had 3 separate committees looking at different parts of Benghazi, not sharing information with each other, sort of a stovepiping approach. A select committee will allow the same group of people to hear from witnesses from the Department of State, Department of Defense, and the CIA, and now the White House in a coherent fashion. So this new process will give us the best chance of getting to the truth, and Trey Gowdy is an excellent choice.
We talk about a lot of emails, and it sometimes becomes confusing, in part because the emails are either not released or are being redacted in such a way that you can't really tell what they're about. But I want to speak specifically about the one that Catherine was just mentioning, a 7-page, an email regarding Fox News reporting dated September 28th. The White House is apparently withholding that, saying that it involves executive branch deliberations. Do they, in your view, have the grounds to do so?
I really don't know, but I do know this. If it were not for an independent judiciary, the 14 September email that Judicial Watch was able to provide to the country through a court action last week would not have surfaced. And that email was devastating for the White House because it shows they were trying to shape Susan Rice's Sunday TV appearances to drive the narrative that it was a protest caused by video. We'd done all we could to secure the compound before the attack, and the president was hands-on, and we're going to go after the killers, clearly trying to shape the story in a way different than what was actually coming from Libya. As to this new email, all I can say is there's a continuing pattern of deception, delay, stonewalling, and we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, I want to go back to something that Catherine Herridge wrote in her report on foxnews.com specifically regarding those September 14th emails. There seems to be some interesting classification, I guess, going on. Catherine writes that the emails originally marked unclassified were retroactively classified in February by the Department of State. She goes on to say that the email released to Judicial Watch is now marked secret, and the same email released to the Oversight Committee of the House is marked confidential. Both are set not to be declassified for another 25 years. What's the reason for retroactively classifying those as secret?
Well, they've been playing a game of catch-up. They start a storyline right after the attack, 5 days after the attack, that's politically beneficial to the president, but it's collapsing. And as we get close to the truth and evidence to show that they were manipulating the facts on the ground for political purposes, they're trying to conceal it. So by classifying this email, you've got to remember there was an August subpoena coming from the House for all documents related to Benghazi. There was also a promise by this administration, if you'll approve John Brennan as the CIA director, we will release all relevant information about Benghazi. So this classification, I think, was trying to avoid giving the document over by subpoena, trying to hide it basically by putting a new label on it, and thank God for an independent judiciary.
It was a little more than 3 years ago that the raid on Osama bin Laden's compound went down. We saw the photo that night of the president sitting there in the Situation Room. Tommy Vietor, a former spokesman for the administration, told Bret Baier last week that on the night of the Benghazi attacks, the president was not in the Situation Room. I know you have been asking questions of the White House about that. Why is that important?
Well, they've made 2 movies about the bin Laden raid. We've got the famous photo of all the key players watching the screen in real time. And I'll be the first to give President Obama credit for ordering the bin Laden raid. That was a gutsy call. But you got to remember, there's a criminal investigation going on now about releasing classified information to make the president look good to media outlets like the New York Times, describing the raid in detail that compromised some of our sources. So here's the question for the country. Would this administration, if they are willing to leak classified information to make themselves look good, would they withhold it to keep from having to talk about a failure? They've got a propensity here to play politics with national security matters, and I think it caught up with them in Benghazi. Where was the president? We know what he did minute by minute in the bin Laden raid. When did he go to bed? We know now he never called anyone in Libya to get help for our people on the ground. To me, he was virtually AWOL as commander-in-chief. You need a commander-in-chief in events like this, and nobody will tell us what he did and when he did it.
Senator Lindsey Graham is a Republican from South Carolina and a former prosecutor. Senator, thank you.
Thank you.